Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Oner podcast, the podcast where we break down and review films all in one big, long, unbroken take. I'm Austin Archer, and with me, as always, is my childhood next-door neighbor and lifelong best friend,
Kramer, England.
And today we are wrapping up our recap of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, we finished it. We
finished it. We did Fellowship. We did Two Towers.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about Return of the King. So if you want to go back and watch our first two episodes on the other two, you can. But I'm sure you've seen these films if you're watching this, and
if you haven't, go watch them.
Yeah, and hopefully we can bring some new insight and some new thoughts. You said on our last one that we did with Two Towers, you said that was always your favorite growing up, but you feel like now, like with this rewatch, you're like Fellowship's the best movie. Is that still how you feel now that we're all done?
Did I say that? Because
I thought I heard you say like I thought maybe I missed, but I thought you said that. Like I always liked the Two Towers.
No, I don't think, because I always liked Fellowship the most.
Oh,
my son, so Nolan liked Two Towers.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and I think he still kind of thinks that's the best one, which I get, especially when you're younger. But Fellowship is still my favorite. But this is such a good conclusion. Like there's we'll get to it in scores. I think my favorite is it's 1, 3, 2, right? Mm-hmm. Like this one is so good still. Like it's
a hard trilogy to rank because it's all just like one big movie, and it's all a big, really good, 12-hour long movie.
yeah, it is. And they all work really well. And a lot of people have commented on some of our shorts that like it's the best trilogy ever. And I agree. I don't know if you can't exclude this in any way, but it's also extremely hard to put anything above it.
Yeah, it's definitely, in that conversation of like best trilogies ever, it's like you got to just look at trilogies where it's like there's not a flop in the bunch. They all fit together so perfectly. They all complement each other, and it is rare to pull that off, to pull the hat trick off. Usually there's one that feels like it significantly dips in quality in certain areas from the others. Even the original Star Wars trilogy it wildly varies. I think the general consensus is that The Empire Strikes Back is the most consistently high quality of the three, where there's like a tone that they found in that film that helped ground the franchise. But then still a lot of people are like, it's got to be A New Hope because that's the thing that kicked it off. But then there are people that are just fans of Return of the Jedi because of the Luke storyline. And I think like but that movie is so uneven because the Luke storyline is very engaging. The opening with Jabba's palace and the Sarlacc pit is fantastic. It's an incredible way to open that movie up. But then everything that happens with our B characters on Endor and stuff is like pretty. Like anytime you watch that movie, you're like, I don't really care about any of this stuff. I just, like it pales in comparison to the emotional weight of Luke confronting his father and
it's just most people would say, it's 2, 1, 3 with that one, right? Mm-hmm. And that the other trilogy that I think of is the Dark Knight trilogy, right? But most people would say the same thing. It's probably 2, 1, 3.
2, 1, 3.
Yeah, like The Dark Knight Rises is just it. I mean, I really like it, and as a trilogy, it's so much better than most. But it also is not nearly. The Dark Knight Rises is it's just different than the other two, and the other two are most people like them better, especially The Dark Knight. Then you think about The Godfather. You have two of the best movies ever, and then one movie that is nowhere near.
Big steep,
huge. Yeah. Like
Fall
even though
off.
The Godfather 3 is, when I watched it, it was fine. It's not horrible, but it's nowhere near as good as those two. So that I don't even think that could be in the conversation because of that one.
Right.
But those ones are kind of. I'm trying to think of some other ones. But...
Back to the Future, and I think that one for most people goes 1, 2, 3. It's the first one is the best. The second one is really fun, but almost kind of like pushes the absurdity of the concept a little too far. And then the third one's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. It's funny though, because like 2 and 3 are kind of similar. They both have
Yeah.
their positives and negatives, but they're nowhere near as good as 1. But
One's
they
just
are
such a
also
solid. Yeah.
but they're also amazing. They're all
Yeah.
fun. Like, I
Yeah.
love watching them. And then you look at Spider-Man trilogy, that
Big drop off.
1 and 2 are usually people's favorites,
Mm-hmm.
and then 3 is definitely the worst.
The one I always go to because I'm an insufferable, like pompous film nerd is the Before trilogy, because that's a trilogy to me that is like there's no weak link in the three of them. Each successive film in the trilogy makes the others stronger. It's like, oh, like they all work on their own as individual films really, really well.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, watching the second one makes the first one retroactively better, and then watching the third one makes the first and second ones even stronger. And and not that, and I don't think there's a film that I could say is like the best of the three. They all complement each other so much, and it's such a unique trilogy, the way it was constructed and the way it was filmed. But I also think that that's what is good about the Lord of the Rings, whereas the Before trilogy is unique in that each one was separated by almost 10 years. And that's part of what makes it so special, is watching this central couple sort of age as the actors age. What's special about the Lord of the Rings is like the fact that they shot it all together in 2 years in New Zealand. And we got to experience it back to back to back in successive Decembers. That it was like every December for 3 years, we got another installment of this story, and it all felt so cohesive and smooth and clear,
It's crazy that I still am amazed that they did that. And it's also very appropriate for the book. One of the most influential books has, then become one of the most influential movies. And I don't know if you can't take a gamble like this. I mean, this was still a huge gamble on a very proven IP, right? But they never do that, and they never will really do that again. I don't think. I mean, they did it with The Hobbit, but that didn't work out.
It's very
also not 3 movies. Why?
It's not 3. It's not 3.
3 movies. That doesn't make sense.
It's like if you want to make it 2 movies, fine. I still was like, I remember watching the first Hobbit movie, and when it got to the end of the movie, I was like, this plot is 1 movie. Like
it is.
This plot is like, we got to go and get this thing from this dragon. Your first act is like getting there. The second act is getting the thing. The third act is the battle. The end. But and you can make it 3 hours and 15 minutes or whatever it needs to be be done all in one. But the 3 movies was absurd. It's certainly nowhere near the quality of this trilogy. But this trilogy is special, and
it is.
And I'm glad we revisited it. Back to the thing of like favorites. I think a lot of people, their favorite is Fellowship, and I was always a Return of the King guy. Like this was always the one. This movie just like knocked me out in the theater in a way that I was already so invested in the story, and I remember just being the experience of seeing this in the theater and just being so blown away by how they managed to continue to up the stakes. And still this time watching it through, like I had a really emotional watch.
Me too.
I was like crying a lot, and I was like, what a payoff. And I'll say this, we were a little nitpicky with the Two Towers.
We were.
But I still watching this movie made me it confirmed my little nitpicky critiques of the Two Towers, because I think that of the 3, the thing about the Two Towers that, again, these are all fantastic films, and so this is very nitpicky. But the thing about the Two Towers is like, it's the most, and this is before the MCU existed, but it's like the most MCU style, like kind of a few too many jokes and a few too, like the balance of the humor and the real stakes of what's happening here in Middle Earth is a little off in the Two Towers. And we talked about that prolonged battle sequence at Helm's Deep, how the stakes keep getting undercut by the like the joking around with Gimli and
Yeah.
Aragorn and
Yeah.
Legolas, and it doesn't seem like the weight of what's happening to the people of Rohan here at Helm's Deep. It's like we'll go to Theoden and he'll be so serious, and we're like, okay,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then we cut to like Aragorn and Gimli, and they're just like have it. They're just sort of like, ha ha, this is so much fun, you know. And it
Yeah.
just seems like the tone is a little imbalanced. What I love about the Return of the King is we get back to the stakes feeling
Yes.
very, very big, and it's in a way where like we are so inundated with films where the stakes are massive, where it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, the fate of
Yeah.
the universe is, and it when you have characters that have as thick of plot armor as like Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, it can be
Yeah.
a little bit like, well, like you can tell me that the stakes are as high as they've ever been, but I'm never really gonna believe you
Right.
unless you can do something that really shows me the actual threat. And there are things in this film like just like the like release the prisoners and
Yeah.
launching people's heads into Minas Tirith with
Oh
catapults
man. Yeah.
after they've taken Osgiliath, and like
Yeah.
the fact that Osgiliath like falls so easily,
Yeah.
and then they launch just like severed heads into Minas Tirith, and the
Ugh.
fear of the people in that city, and the way that the real way that Minas Tirith is like taking a serious beating and pounding
Yeah. Yeah.
before the Rohirrim show up, and then even after the Rohirrim have success, when the Oliphants show up with
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it just like, but you really feel the stakes of it because
Yeah.
important main characters either get seriously injured or die.
Yes.
And they allow, it's not like Stranger Things this final season where it's just sort of like,
Right.
we don't think any of these main characters are in danger
Yeah.
or in peril. This feels like a thing where it's like our main characters are obviously going to succeed, but not without taking some heavy
Yeah. Yeah.
damage and some.
Well, and it's also amazing. I mean, all right, in a movie, a regular movie, you have a 3-act structure, right? And the third act is where the most important stuff should happen. And it should be, I mean, it should be the most exciting. So technically, this is the third act of the trilogy.
Right.
And it's amazing how well they balance. I mean, there's a lot of action in this movie, and there's a lot going on. And the stakes do feel high the whole time. Like, but it also doesn't feel like, okay. Like with Age of Ultron, Avengers Age of Ultron.
Sure.
In the third act of that movie, I was like, all right, can we just like get done with this
Yeah.
movie? Like this action is just repeating itself. Like I mean, the movie overall is fine, but I always get a little dragged down by the end of that movie. But there's all these huge battle scenes. There's all these different things, but like you're talking about, they have one success, and then they have something else that comes in. The Oliphants come in, and then they have one success, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, all this kind of stuff. So it makes it, and then we're also following Frodo and Sam and their whole thing with Gollum. And so the way that it's all blended together is so not tiring. I'm engaged the whole time, and it's just amazing. Kind of just like you said, like I was kind of in awe this whole time. Like, how did they do this? Like, and the emotional part is there. The stakes are there, and then the payoff is there too. So I'm kind of in awe of this movie.
That's
they
why
were
I
able
think
to do what they were doing.
That's why this is always going to kind of be my fave, is just that,
and I get it. Yep, I totally get it.
The way that they platform the stakes of how, I mean, everything about this is like, it is the fight to save Middle Earth from doom, from like Sauron like this enemy that has been sleeping for hundreds of years, for centuries, has awoken, and there is this like Hail Mary mission.
Yeah.
Preview for next week. We're doing Hail Mary. Hail Mary mission to like, that has such a, it's just, we're going to send a hobbit off hoping that he doesn't get corrupted by the ring on the way or killed, and hope that he can make it to Mount Doom somehow. And it's just this like, I remember this video essay that I watched on it was like, it's like someone just taking like a random farmer from, like Kansas, and being like, we're going to send you into uh like the heart of
Yeah.
Nazi Germany, and
Yeah.
we're going to send you on a mission to personally assassinate Adolf Hitler and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like the whole world, the fate of the war rests on this. If like, rather
Yeah.
than like the atom bomb or anything like that, that it's like you
Yeah.
need to go in and take out the heart of the Axis powers.
Yeah.
It's just like some random guy, and the allies are all like, yeah, well, hopefully Steve gets it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's
know,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it but they platform it so well, and the payoff of the platforming, because especially like that's again a little nitpick that I have about Two Towers is you've got this amazing shot where Sauron, is talking to Wormtongue, and
Mhm.
Wormtongue goes, "But my
Yes.
lord, no such force exists." And
Yeah.
they walk out, and you see the armies of Sauron at Isengard, and that shot's
Yeah.
amazing. And the way that we're platforming the threat of
Yes.
Sauron's Uruk-hai army, and then even when they show up, the energy, the atmosphere at
Yeah.
the beginning of that battle. But then once the battle starts to get fun, it's just like they just start to feel a little disposable and easy to kill, and
Right. Right. Yeah.
we sort of undercut how serious they felt. But like not just the Uruk-hai, but the orcs and the Nazgul all are like really wreaking havoc in the Return of the King in a way that feels really insurmountable,
Oh
and
yeah.
all that buildup of like, Gandalf looking out into the distance and going like, so it begins the great
Yeah.
battle of our time. It
Mhm.
really feels like all the hype gets paid off in such a satisfying way that also
Yeah.
feels like, you don't feel like the movie was telling you, oh, this is going to be so crazy, and then all of the main characters just handle it easily.
Yeah.
It
Well, and that's the other thing I kind of wrote down. Every character in this movie goes through a lot. They
Mhm.
all have a hard time. And especially in this movie, and Merry and Pippin kind of get separated, and they
Mhm.
they have their own troubles. And I mean, Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas kind of the whole time, that maybe they don't have as much hard time. Theirs is more physical, but they put so many characters through really tough things, which is such a smart thing to do, right? And it helps with everything, because then everybody's story is important. And I
Yeah.
think the point that you brought up, which is like especially a lot of Marvel movies, the stakes are the entire universe, or the entire galaxy, or the entire whatever, and the entire Earth. And just for some reason that doesn't hit as hard, because it's like living on the Earth. I understand that this is not real, but the fact that this is Middle Earth, it's a different place that is not real. Somehow I connect to it more, because I get the stakes more of that than I do if our whole Earth was at stake, right? So
Yeah, but I also with the it's like we talked about this at the end of Fellowship, that when that
yeah,
movie's over, you really feel it's like, oh, already this Fellowship that was sent out from Rivendell, Gandalf, the one who's like
yeah,
supposed to be the leader of the group, he dies first. Then Boromir dies. Then the whole group disbands.
yeah,
So like the stakes at the end of that movie are very high. And
yes,
again, the second one is just kind of the one where everyone's just sort of having like other than Frodo and Sam,
yeah,
everyone's just sort of having like Merry and Pippin are just sort of like out having like a fun adventure in the woods
yeah,
with Treebeard,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
and and again, the sequence at Helm's Deep is incredible. I'm being
yes,
really nitpicky here, but I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah,
it does feel like in the third one we get back to like the separation of Merry and Pippin and what they go. It feels like the first time Merry and Pippin really understand, like, oh
yeah,
geez, the
yeah,
the real stakes of what
yeah,
they've gotten themselves into,
totally,
and what's really going on in Middle Earth. Like uh the line where uh Mary says to Pippin, like, there won't be a Shire. Don't you understand that? Like, there's not going to be a place
yeah,
to go back to.
yeah,
And
yeah,
them realizing that, like, there is no, like, we can't just go back because
yeah.
no
It's
one there knows what's going on here.
yeah, yeah, and and was it okay? Hold on, was it in this movie? Oh, I think it's at the end of.
Oh, it
I'm
might
trying
be.
to I'm trying to remember
It
at
might
the
be the
end.
end of Two Towers when he says
Yeah,
that.
when he says like, oh, I we need to save some for the return journey.
Oh, right.
And because Sam says,
for the
yeah,
journey home.
we need to save some food for the journey home, which again, going into this, like, there's going to be no Shire to go home to, like, hitting home. I loved, and I can't remember if that was in the Two Towers. They're all one movie anyway. So,
Yeah.
but I love that at the end of this movie, he finally does give that up and says, we
I don't
can't,
think we're
there's
going
no
home.
return journey. Like, just those little things that they do that really, again, set the stakes, but also like these tiny little things that we can relate to. Oh, I'm gonna save some stuff for the return home. Like, oh, he has hope, and Frodo doesn't. And then when he gets to Mordor, and he's like, we're there's not enough to get home. Like, I'm not planning on going home anymore. I get that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you get those stakes, and you get the importance of it, and like where the character is at.
Well, and like and just like the true bravery of those characters
Yeah.
too, that it's just like, okay, at this point, let's just do the job we came here to do. Let's save the world, but like you and I, this is where our story ends.
Yeah.
And that sort of resignation, but still moving forward anyway. And I also, like, I was thinking about just little details, like the way that the makeup design for Frodo and Sam. I feel like the makeup team were aware that it's like every time we come back to these characters, I want to just add like one more layer, and one more layer, and one more layer, so that like from them leaving the Shire and Fellowship to them climbing, because by the time they are climbing Mount Doom, they just look so, especially Frodo, like, but they both just look so just haggard and beaten, and but it's like that layering it's just like a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little through 3 movies. And it's done so well. It's built so well so that you feel it kind of subconsciously. I kind of want to go through from a little bit like through the timeline of the film. So we started off with a flashback here, and we see how Smeagol got the ring with his cousin Deagle, or
his friend Deagle.
Deagle. I always wondered this. Again, love this movie, love Andy Serkis. I always wondered this, even when I saw it in theater. Should Smeagol still have that voice before he transformed?
I have wondered that too. I always thought he should have a normal voice.
Yeah, me too.
And just like his voice over time starts to become like this, it's just like, it feels like it should be normal, but they made that choice.
But we even do see that, like we get to see the sort of process of him become how
that's why it's so weird that his voice sounds exactly the same.
Right, because he even does the like we see Andy Serkis like doing that, and the birth of this kind of new voice emerging out of him, and we see his eyes change, and we see his hair fall out, and we see and we see it's basically the movie showing us like this is what Frodo will become if he isn't able to get rid of the ring. It's showing like this is what's happening to Frodo. Frodo's in the early stages of this. This took decades and decades and decades, maybe even centuries for the full transfer. But like Frodo is in the early stages of this transformation.
Right.
And it always just threw me off a little bit with the first time we hear Smeagol's voice, that he's like, "What do you have there, my love?" I was like, oh, as that guy, he sounded like that.
He's always sounded like that. Oh, okay.
Okay. Strange, but whatever. Because I want it. And it's
my birthday.
Yeah. I was like,
it. He even says, "I want it." It's like, wait, you spoke like that too? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just, again, love Andy Serkis in this film. It's an amazing performance. I was sort of like, interesting choice. I'm sure there was a conversation about this. That, and maybe they thought, and because it almost sounds like he's like pulling back on it. He's not doing it as heavy.
Yeah, it does seem not as heavy. Yeah.
But to me, I just think it would be more interesting if he starts off with like just sounding like Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
And then over the years, everything about him is morphed into this creature.
This weird.
Yeah.
I think that would have been good. But it is it's a weird sequence. I think it's a good way to start the movie though. I mean, it's creepy, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then we get a little bit of Frodo and Sam and Gollum on their way to Shelob, where and we're seeing it's just a continuation of what we were talking about in the Two Towers with Sam not really understanding what's actually going on with Frodo, and Frodo feeling more of a kinship with Gollum than he does with Sam, because he understands that like they're the only two of the three that get the what it is about the precious, you know.
And I actually did have in my notes, he does say it in this one, for he's prepping for the journey home. So it's the very beginning of this one. But it is interesting to see their relationship, just like exactly like you said, because and I think it almost works better in the Two Towers. This one is a little, I still get it, and I still think it works, but for some reason in the Two Towers, the relationship feels better, and it feels, I believe it just a little bit more than this one, because like Smeagol is really, he's it's almost a little too obvious that he's trying to that he's trying to really, he's going to betray them, but Frodo doesn't see it. But it's still, I mean, that's a tiny nitpick.
I think that's also like part of what's happening to Frodo with the ring. Is that
he's wanting, the ring is wanting him to go with Gollum. So
I think the ring doesn't necessarily mind being brought closer to Mordor. It would love it if Frodo could, or take the ring to that, but it just does not want to have him fulfill his mission. I also wrote down that, like, we talked about this in the Two Towers, that as cool as it is when Gandalf shows up with the Rohirrim, on the hill and rides down and saves the day, it does take him out of that film for a long time. And Ian McKellen is such a just great, strong part of these films, and I'm really glad how much of him we get in The Return of the King. And
his performance in this is pretty amazing.
His performance in this movie is awesome. The first thing I wrote down is, like, early on, after the Battle of Helm's Deep has been won, they find Merry and Pippin at Isengard, and they kind of take them back to the kingdom of Rohan, the place where Theoden lives. And they have like a celebration, a big, they're drinking ale and stuff. And I love this little moment where Gandalf and Aragorn are talking about how, like, there's little hope that Frodo is, we don't even know, like, he's probably, and the fact that Gandalf is sort of despairing, and he's like, I probably sent him to his death, and then I love this when Aragorn says, "What does your heart tell you?" And the look on Ian McKellen's face immediately being like, and he just looks at him and he's like, "But Frodo is alive." I immediately, I just was like, that's Ian McKellen's incredible. Like,
and I love the fact that, I mean, obviously it's the Return of the King, so this is, so much of this story is Aragorn's story as well. But like the fact that Gandalf has always been the one to give them hope and to lead everybody, and now this is the point. And even Gandalf, I feel like, kind of sees it, that Aragorn is the one who's starting to do that. It all kind of hinges on him taking up the mantle of king, right? And like doing that, and that's kind of almost like this little small moment where that kind of happens, and it's done so well. It hits so hard.
I had to write it down as a note just because I was like, there is so much in that look on Ian McKellen's face. There's so much, like, he's like, there's like pride in Aragorn, like he's looking at Aragorn like, look at you. Look at you telling me, like, but like also there's the immediate recognition that, like, you're right. I would feel it if they had, like, but like there's so much in that one look, and Ian McKellen's so good at doing that. He's so good, like his face when you are soldiers of Gondor, whatever comes through that door, you stand your ground. And then when those things come, like, just the look on Ian McKellen's face, I'm like, he's so good. He's so good at just like this, like,
oh man, I wasn't expecting that.
But it's so subtle and it's so iconic. Like, he just is able to communicate so much.
He really is. And I mean, when he gets to Gondor, when he gets to Minas Tirith, and what is the guy's name? The crazy steward,
Denethor.
it's such an interesting relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that he has to take on the leader role because
Yeah.
Denethor has gone crazy,
Yeah.
is really interesting.
You know what I did this time through that I'd never done before, and I wish I had done it with the first two?
Mm.
I watched it with subtitles on, and
Oh,
I
okay.
I normally turn that off because I just like to I don't like the way
I do
that
that too. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like the way that subtitles like but
Interfere with the visuals.
yeah, but I
Yeah,
just realized like I've been watching these movies my whole life and assuming I knew what the screenplay was and like assuming I
yeah,
knew and there were just certain lines that I just was like, "Oh, I didn't
yeah,
know that's I thought he said something else there."
yeah,
And it was really interesting like it's like I've seen it enough that I can it's okay if there's something in the very bottom of it but there were several
yeah,
moments
yeah.
where having the subtitles like I I guess I didn't clock all the different things that people call Gandalf in these films, and the fact that everyone
Yeah.
in Minas Tirith calls him Mithrandir, that like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
everyone's like like early on, Denethor's like he's like you don't tell me how to run my kingdom, Mithrandir,
Yeah,
and then other people like different soldiers are like Mithrandir, what should
yeah,
we do? And I never like knew. I just like I didn't. I just was like I don't
yeah,
know what that.
yeah,
I just people are always saying weird words, and but like he's
yeah,
got these different titles, and to the people in Minas Tirith, he's known as Mithrandir,
yeah.
and but I also I love the way that he. I mean, first of all, like I've always loved the design of Minas Tirith. I
Oh,
love
it's so cool.
this
In the
bigature.
mountain,
It's
yeah, and
it's
like,
incredible. This first shot of them riding up on Shadowfax is incredible.
oh yeah,
Pippin and
Pippin and Gandalf,
yeah,
yeah,
and Gandalf. Uh, and yeah, the way that Pippin gets himself involved in this,
yeah,
like that uh, a servant of the steward
yeah,
now.
yeah,
I love that. But yeah, this is another little like weird thing that I clocked is this scene when Frodo and Sam are outside of the home of the Witch King, and they're
yes.
at the base of the
Which
stairs.
the production design
Oh,
is
again,
so cool.
oh, it's
It looks
just
so like so creepy, so scary, but just like so intricate, and like I love
yeah,
the gargoyles that they have.
yeah.
It's awesome. It's
Well, and it
awesome.
goes back to what we were talking about earlier too, that like when they're all marching out, all the orcs, and we're
Yeah.
doing little inserts on their different faces, it just you just
Yeah.
are like, I just believe that those are orcs.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
feel it's because and this is not a knock to Jim Henson, but
Yeah.
when I watch old Jim Henson movies like Labyrinth or The Dark
Yeah.
Crystal, as impressed as I am by his puppetry and by the things that he would build, like the Yoda puppet,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
mind is never like, oh my gosh, is that like
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
suspend your disbelief and go like,
Yeah.
sure, why not? Yes,
Yeah.
like, you just go like, good enough.
Exactly.
But there is the makeup in these films. It's just like your brain has a hard time imagining a human person under there.
Yeah.
They just feel real.
Yeah. It really, and it's the same thing with CGI characters. They are, I mean, I like puppets better than CGI characters
Me too.
because it's just, I don't know, you can connect with something because you know that it's real. With CGI, you can make it look amazing. And I mean, they could do amazing things, but having a full character is always just even a little bit more of a, of the uncanny valley, and just like it takes me out of it just a little bit. And so, but these, yeah, all of these, and the characters, they also have so much more character because you're letting actors act. You're
Yeah.
letting them inhibit the character more, right? Like the one guard that ultimately tells, oh, he's not dead yet. Like when
Yeah.
he's talking about Frodo, like
She
he's one of
loves
the,
having a bit of fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the
I'm
way that
gonna
he
bleed
talks and the way,
you. Yeah.
yeah, way that he
Yeah.
looks, like it's just something
I
that you
can't
just can't get.
imagine what the real person under there looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
He's so fully immersed in
Yes.
it. It is crazy. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that guy that's like, oh, looks like an old Shelob's been having a bit of fun. Like that guy, I'm like, I can't imagine what you look like as a human. Like that.
No, no.
Also, did you by any chance recognize Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords in this movie?
No, Brit?
Yeah,
Brit?
yeah, yeah.
No,
So
what
I was
was
watching the
I didn't
movie
know
and
that.
so I looked it up and I was like, "Yep, that's him." It's when Erwin Arwen
Arwen,
is
yeah,
is
Arwen and
heading
Eowyn.
Arwen is heading off to sail off to the Undying Lands, and she sees the vision of her son. And
Yeah.
that guy that's like, Lady Arwen, we must keep going. That's Brett.
No
And
way.
yeah, and I immediately I saw his face and I was like, wait, I know who that is. And I like pushed pause and went back and I was like, who is that? And I was like, I think that's Brett from Flight of the Conchords. He just doesn't have a beard. He's clean shaven and he has long hair. And then I looked it up and it was like, yep, 100%. That's,
No way. Yeah, I'm
so
looking at it
like,
right now.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. That's
yeah.
so funny.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I like Flight of the Conchords. I've seen a few episodes. I haven't watched like the whole thing, but I love their stuff.
It's like
That's so funny. I
a
didn't even realize
New
that.
Zealand kind of like royalty guy there
Yeah,
in a very New Zealand movie here in a little
that's true.
and
That's so funny.
who knows if it was a cameo or if that was just like him getting like a early acting gig, in
Yeah,
his
that's
career.
I'll have to look into that because that really, yeah, I don't know what Academy Award winning Brett McKenzie, by the way,
Yeah,
who won for the Muppets.
yeah.
But yeah, that's I wonder if I mean, I imagine the community in New Zealand is relatively small.
Yeah.
I wonder if he kind of knew if Peter Jackson knew who they were and kind of if they had done something.
Because it's one of those little like featured extra roles where like the camera sort of lingers on his face a little bit, like kind of like every time when Peter Jackson shows up in all three of the movies, it's like the camera's like, that's him,
Yeah.
And it was just a moment where I just was like, wait, I know that face, but it could have
Yeah.
totally been that this was 25 years ago. This totally could have been, but Flight of the Conchords happened in like 2006, 2007.
Something
like it happened just a few years after that. So, but anyway, during this scene, that's sort of the announcement of the battle. There's a big sky beam that shoots out.
Sky beam. Yep.
And I was wondering that too. I was like, is this the first movie to do the sky beam? Like, did everybody copy?
I know. That's what
Return
I wondered
the King?
too. I was like, this has got to be one of the early sky beam shots.
Yeah, because it definitely didn't feel played or derivative.
No.
When this first happened. You see it now and it's like, oh, geez, Skybeam. But at the time, it felt really cool. And I remember in the theater too, the sound design of this moment of the Skybeam shooting up, like how everything cuts out and then it goes into the, And once again, Ian McKellen's face reacting to it is, it's kind of like watching like a nuclear bomb go off or something.
Yeah.
But I also love this cut back and forth between Gandalf and Pippin and Sam and Frodo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had a question. Gandalf says Sauron has yet to unleash his most fearsome servant, the Witch King of Aragorn. But then he says he has yet to unleash him, and then he goes, "You've met him. He stabbed Frodo at Weathertop."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then he hasn't yet, like he has released him. The line, he has yet to unleash his like most feared. I was like, but that's not, immediately I was like, that's not true. He's been in the first two
and he
films.
was in the
and then he says it. He's like, you guys met him. He was so I'm like, well then what do you mean he has I don't know.
My guess is that first of all, he probably doesn't know that he's been unleashed, but also I don't know, maybe he gives him extra powers. Even though he stabbed Frodo, he hadn't been unleashed yet. I don't know. He didn't have his Nazgul,
who knows?
I don't know. But
do not come between the Nazgul and his prey. I do like the Witch King.
I love his helmet.
I love his helmet. I love the shots of him. Like I love when he's like in Osgiliath and that shot with like the Nazgul's head up in the foreground of the shot, and like the deep focus shot of him riding. I'm like, oh, it's just it's great.
He's
there's a great shot of him riding his Nazgul in the Two Towers that we talked about. Like, that's why I'm just like, when he says he has yet to unleash him, I'm like, what do you mean? He's been in all three of these films.
He's been around.
And you even know that he's been around because you talked about him stabbing Frodo at Weathertop. But anyway, whatever. Weird line that I thought about.
Right.
Yeah, I wrote down stakes feel more consistent here. I wrote down poor Sam, and I also wrote down I wrote down Sean Astin should have been nominated for an Oscar for this if he wasn't, and
Yeah,
maybe he should have even won one. He's so great.
I know. So I made a Wonder Funner today, and I asked who should have been nominated, and I feel like most of the responses are probably going to be Andy Serkis, which I would get, and I think there's a case for that. But I also think there's a good case for Sean Astin. I mean, he really does carry the movie. Um, Elijah Wood, he's got a hard job because he has to be out of it the whole time. You can only do so much with that.
Yep.
But Sean Astin is the one who's really pulling the weight. Like
Yeah.
he is pulling the emotional weight, and he really nails it in this movie. I mean, I think a nomination. I really think he could have gotten at least the nomination.
Sean Astin is the caretaker. He's
Yeah.
the one who
Yeah.
like Frodo's got to like go through the like physical, psychological torment of bearing the ring, but Sean Astin has to be the caretaker. So it's like taking care of someone who's like trying to get off of heroin or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I think to show the emotional and physical toll. Also, he's like, not for nothing, he's along for the ride on this very long, exhausting hike into, you know, this, like they talk about how at the end of the film Frodo says like something like almost a year to the day, that like the whole journey round trip took them a year. So you got to imagine that for Frodo and Sam to get to, it's like 9 months at least, you know, that he's on the road with Frodo, and I think we really see in this movie how broken down he's become. That scene when he's like, but he's a liar, and he's sending him away, and he just sort of like crumples and starts crying. I was just like, dude, Sean Astin's killing it in this movie.
He did.
And then everything that he does after that, you know, with the stuff in Mordor and the, you know,
and carrying him up, you know, the Mount Doom and all the stuff that, and even when Frodo turns, you know, at the end, and he's got to be, you know, Sean Astin he did a really, really great job.
He is like the heart of this movie, especially. He brings a lot of heart to all three. But this movie, it's like the payoff of the way that they've platformed Sam as just this sweetheart who's really kind of like ignorant to the bigger world, but who's just like got a heart of gold. And then what they put him through in this film, and the way that Astin handles it, and even his little like hero moments, like getting to take on those orcs in the tower, you know, and getting to take on Shelob and stuff, are satisfying.
Yeah, they are. And Shelob, man, I watched this with my boys again, and they were like, "Oh, it's disgusting." And they were freaked out by Shelob, which it's a very effective scene. I don't know why I always forget, but like I forget that it comes that late in the movie. I thought it was earlier, but also just super creepy. Like just
I also just like, I love the practical stuff. I love the shot of Elijah Wood stuck in those webs, like when his whole body is elevated and he's completely, I'm like, whatever they had to do to achieve that, it just looks so, and it's such a like great like little body horror sequence of when like him getting like stabbed in the stomach, just like without even seeing it, imagining getting like punctured in your belly button by a stinger like that, and then it just, and then watching his limp body get like it's very it's very effective. And even though that's CGI, it's like, they have, but it looks really good in all of this practical stuff. Does it ever bother you that Smeagol says, caught in a web, soon he'll be eaten? Does your brain like, because my brain
be dead?
Yep. My brain as a songwriter always fills in like I always forget that he says eaten. I always think I know how the song ends, and I think he's gonna go, soon he'll be dead. And like that, and then he always goes eaten, and I'm always like, is that a joke that they wrote intentionally to like be like Smeagol is silly and I don't know.
Yeah, I always think that too. I'm always caught off guard by it, but maybe that was intentional. Maybe I mean, I'm sure it was, but I always think that too. Oh, soon you'll be dead. Soon you'll be eaten. Like, wait, shouldn't it be dead?
Yeah,
but
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've sort of. I think then we go into the sequence where Aragorn gets the sword back um, from what's
Yes,
his
from Elrond.
Elrond. You know,
Yeah, which is a great.
Arondir.
Yeah.
Uh,
I love that too. The sword is awesome, by the
ah,
way. What a
yeah,
cool sword.
but also like this, you know, this sequence of like them going in to get the men of the mountain to come
Yeah.
and fulfill their
Yep.
oaths, and I really like the way that this sequence is done. I feel like these effects hold up. I feel like it's
Oh yeah.
cool. I like the layering of like the
Yeah.
dead flesh on top of the skeleton. I love
Yes.
the performance of the dead king. Like I think it's a
Yeah.
very like whoever that actor is, I'm like
Yeah.
that's a cool performance, man.
It
Like
is. Yeah, it really is good. And the fact that he can kill them, right? It's just a really, yeah, it's a really cool
and
sequence.
this is another line that I always misheard. Um,
Oh,
so he, you know, he's like, none but the heir to the throne of Gondor may
yeah.
command me, and he, you know, like hits his sword.
Yeah.
I always thought he said that blade was broken, and his response is,
Yeah.
"It has been remade." Because I
Yeah.
just figured that made it in because he sort of says it with a growl. He's like, "That blade was broken,"
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I always assumed that what he was saying is like that blade,
Yeah.
that magic blade that can, but he says that line was broken, and
Yeah.
Aragorn says it has been remade. But
Yeah.
I also thought it was that blade was broken because he says it has been remade, and it's weird
Yeah.
to say that like a line
A
has
line has
been.
been broken, but how do you remake
How do you
a line?
remake it? Like
Yeah.
if it's broken, it's broken. It can't be like you
Yeah.
can't. I don't know,
Yeah.
but you know that was just a line that I was like, oh, I never knew that that's what he said.
Yeah.
But I like that we're sort of left on a cliffhanger there. Um, then you know we're dealing with again like everything that's going on at Minas Tirith and the way that they're just getting pummeled.
Oh
And
yeah. Yep.
I really love the way this film platforms the Harvey Weinstein orc,
Yeah.
the you know whatever
Yeah.
his name is, the guy that
Oh,
with all
it's
the
I
yeah
forgot. Yeah, he looks which apparently yeah, it's got to be that one, right?
yeah
People keep saying no, it's not that one, but it's got to be that one. He
yeah
looks exactly like him.
yeah, but whatever, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I love. I feel like they do a really good job with not a lot of screen time of making this character, like so many of the
Yeah,
orcs, very memorable, but
yeah.
also very intimidating. You know, from like again stakes, the way that he stabs this guy with
Yeah.
a spear, and how brutal that is, and how
Yeah.
like for a PG-13 movie, how unrelentingly like no, these are the stakes of this film, and him saying like he's the guy that says release the prisoners,
Mhm.
and also like how unflinching he is, and when when they throw that rock at him and he stands there and
Yeah.
watches it, and then he
Yeah.
just steps to the side and it lands and he spits
Yeah.
on it.
Spits on it.
You know, the age of man has ended, the
Yeah.
age of the orc has begun. um
Yeah.
but they platform him so well, and this is paid like it's important that they platform him as like fearless, pure evil, intimidating, scary, even
Yeah.
with his
Yeah.
like his arm that's he's like still
Yeah.
just he's
Yeah.
very ruthless, because
Yeah.
when Theoden shows up with his men and you get to see his face go like and he gets scared and tries to run
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
that's such a payoff to be like this guy who
Mhm.
watched a rock being flung by a catapult and what didn't flinch is scared
Scared.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do
I do wish we would have seen how he got killed because he kind of goes back and then that's it.
yeah, it would be nice to see like Theoden or somebody, or
Someone
you know
give him his
Carl
comeuppance, you know.
Carl Urban, you know,
Yeah,
throw a
yeah,
spear through
yeah.
his face or something.
Yeah, right.
But so this is another. I got to talk about Theoden's speech here because I've always just of the two. There's
Two
two moments.
speeches.
Well, there's two moments where the Rohirrim show up and save the day, and
Yeah,
there's the
yeah,
one at the
yeah.
end of the Two Towers, which is cool. It's awesome, and there's this one, and this one has always just like it's like maybe my favorite thing in the entire trilogy.
It's so well done. And
Oh
it's also just the thing that you said too. It's like Golgoth or something is the one orc.
yeah,
The fear on his face, and
uh-huh.
also just like how the sound design of it, because like in the Two Towers they come down and they just destroy everybody, and it's cool. It's definitely
Yeah,
cool. But this one just you see the front line and you
Mhm.
see them all just smash into each other, and like then they just do that wide shot, this over the head shot of them just like plowing through all the orcs.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
But even like seeing the line on the horizon line, like with the sun behind
Yeah.
them, and then the camera rising up and
Yep.
showing like, and
Yep.
and like hearing the horn, and as soon as Gandalf hears that too, just like, oh, there might be hope here.
Yeah.
But this was another thing where like I always thought I knew what Theoden was saying,
Mm.
and I knew some of it. I this speech, like, it gave me chills watching it, and this was on a moment where I kind of teared up. Him saying like, a sword day, a red day,
Mm.
and the sun rises. I got
Mm.
so hyped, but I I always knew he said that. But then when he says ride now, he says ride for ruin and the world's ending. And I always thought he was saying ride for Rohan, like, but saying it
Yeah,
with like a
yeah.
weird
Yeah,
accent,
yeah.
like ride for ruin,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's saying ruin, ruin,
Yeah.
ride for ruin, and the world's ending. And it connects to that moment at the end of the Two Towers where Aragorn says, ride out with me. And he goes, yeah, for death, for glory.
Yeah.
And Aragorn's like, no, 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 let's take it, like,
Yeah.
but it shows sort of the mentality of a soldier of Rohan, that wasn't Theoden like giving up hope. That's just how they fight. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
their thing as a people is like, let's ride into death.
Yeah.
And he's saying to his men to get them like, versus Aragorn's speech, which is like, hey, let's be brave today.
Yeah.
Our bravery is not going to fail today.
Yeah.
Theoden's speech is like, ride to your deaths, ride
Yeah.
into the world's end. And the
Right.
thing that he yells that I never knew, he yells death. And that's what the thing that all
I
the
don't
men
think I
chant.
heard that either. Yeah.
I always thought he was just going, ah, and they were all just going, ah,
Yeah.
he says death and they all yell death.
Interesting.
And I
Yeah.
was like, that's actually so fascinating that they're,
Yeah.
even in that moment, they're not like going, we're about to win. They're just going, the world is ending today.
Yeah.
We're looking at, 100,000 like
Yeah.
orcs from Mordor,
Yeah.
and we're just going to ride full force right
Yeah.
into it and just take them straight on.
Yeah.
And
It really, my love of just everything Rohan
mhm,
in this watching, of Two Towers and Return of the King, I love their storyline. I love the whole history of their people, and it is what you said too, like the death. I never knew that they said death either, which is like, it's awesome. It's such a
yeah,
good, there's such good characters in there, and Eowyn, I think
oh,
I like her. She's awesome.
Eowyn
Like,
and Mary riding
yeah,
together. Oh, it's so like emotional.
yeah,
And her thing of like, no, like, hey, if the world's ending, we all deserve to go fight.
yes.
You know?
And she is standing up for Mary, who
Uh-huh.
she thinks you should, we should, if someone wants to fight, we should let them fight. She's not talking about Mary. She's
Mhm.
talking about herself. Like,
Yeah.
she wants to fight because she is
Yeah.
more than capable of fighting. Just really good subtext in that,
Yeah.
in her whole storyline. And then the fact when she, kills the Witch King. I mean, when she stabs his sword through his face, like, and then it
It's
like,
awesome.
it's so the way that it all dents and like
Yeah.
implodes. Also the sound in that
Yeah.
as well. So cool.
So awesome. But also again, like how dope is Theoden and that like
Yeah.
they just wipe through this
Yeah.
army, just like they just kind of, and then they're like, it's a pretty like decisive victory, and
Yeah.
they're feeling pretty like, okay, all right, and then they hear these horns, and the look on his face when he looks and sees the Oliphants, like, it's just
Yeah.
like, oh geez. But
Yeah.
again, right away he's just like, he's like, reform the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he just goes, take them head on. And
Yeah.
and once again, like without flinching, they're just like right back to it. They're just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, like let's go do it. And the fact that he doesn't survive, like, but that's
Yeah.
that's kind of his mindset of going
Yeah.
into battle, is just like,
Yeah.
I'm not here to like to live.
Yeah.
I'm here to,
Yeah.
to like
To give my life for
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do like this Deus Ex Machina of Aragorn showing up with the army of the dead, because it's
Yeah.
not only is it necessary, but it's also like, I think it works with the story of like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to overcome these odds? And there's all these little ways that they manage to.
I don't know if I'd call it Deus Ex Machina. I think it's
Yeah.
at least set up enough that it I mean, yeah, they wouldn't win without it, but I think that it's they talk about it so much, they give it the time, they set it up, they pay it off, and then they don't use it after that, which is fine. But I wouldn't necessarily say
it's not
but
just
it
like
is that principle type thing.
Right. Yeah, sure.
But I love, and the Oliphants, first of all, this whole sequence is awesome. The Legolas, when he climbs up the Oliphant, looks so much better than the horse when he like whips around. I mean, when he's climbing up it and he's shooting like, it looks so much better than the last one.
This Legolas thing, because every movie has like a sequence where it's like this. First of all, Legolas kind of does this in all three of the films, where he like climbs on top of something or does something very nimble, and we show. And this is the best one. The Oliphant one is the best one. We do end it with a Fred Flintstone yabba dabba doo. He
does.
He fully Fred Flintstones and yabba dabba doos down the Oliphant's nose.
And whoop.
And you know what? Fine.
I'm here for it, man. I loved it. It is a total, but it's also like, go for it. It's good. I loved it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's awesome. And then, then we're into sort of like the final stretch where like Sam has rescued Frodo from this tower. And they're moving into Mordor, and Aragorn has this plan.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. I have one thing I want to talk about, which goes into the makeup of it all, right? So Frodo's shirtless, right? And I've always loved the sore around his neck from where the ring has been hanging. And like, I love that they made it like, because a necklace isn't going to do that to you. You know, like the fact that it is pulling on his skin and you see the scar of it. I've always loved that detail. Just that you physically see the weight that he is carrying, that it is like literally hurting his body. Anyway, I always loved that. I think it's such an amazing makeup touch that they do.
No, totally. The makeup on both of them, again, like just great. but I love that. There's so many little smart details, and and they're heading in, and Aragorn as his kind of first act of king is like, hey, let's take all of our forces out and let's just draw them out. And again, it's sort of like, it's a fight we can't win, but if we can buy them time, we might be able to have. And I in the extended cut, I do like talking to the mouth of Sauron at the Black Gate. I like that little scene.
What do they say? Because I can't. Last time I watched the extended, I can't remember, but I do remember. It is a kind of a fun little.
And then like he cuts its head off, like. And
that's right.
Yeah, Aragorn like rides behind him and then just like slices his head off, and it but which is cool, but it's not necessary. Aragorn has a great speech here. It's probably more eloquent and inspiring than Theoden's speech, but Theoden's speech, there's something about it that still just gets me. Like the fact that Theoden's just like, hey, we're here to, like, it's a sword day, it's a red day, death, like, let's get, but I do like that Aragorn as king, as his first act of king is like, I there will come a day where the strength of men will fail, but it's not today. Okay? And I also love this kind of almost fake out of like Aragorn being drawn in by the eye of Sauron, and then just turning around with tears in his eyes and looking back at his friends and just going, for Frodo. It's like, it's so
still, that line for Frodo, and then they're all running, and everybody, even Merry and Pippin are running, and like, it's another like, this is like it's so good, and it also just it sets the stakes, and it really hits its emotional gut punch. It's great
for everything they've been through. It's just such like the payoff there. It is, it's the I am Iron Man moment from Endgame. It's like,
Yeah.
Tony, everything you've watched Tony Stark go through and his
Yeah.
PTSD and his like, and
Mhm.
him getting to,
Yeah.
save the day,
Yeah.
is it's such a nice payoff, and
Yeah.
intercut with Sam carrying Frodo up the hill and how powerful this is and how powerful
Yeah.
Frank Shore's music is here. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mhm.
And the just
Howard or
or
wait.
Howard Shore, yeah.
Yeah.
Howard Shore's music is, and then like I mean just the epicness of this finale with the wrestling with Gollum and everything they have to get through to just like how hard it is to get the ring there. It's really like it's
Yeah.
one of the most amazing, satisfying finales.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
yeah, and I really, the ending of this movie is so interesting when it comes to Frodo and the ring, right?
mhm,
Because he initially, I mean, he doesn't do it, right? Like
right? He
he
fails.
fails. Yeah, like and then Gollum bites his finger off, which
Mhm.
my boys were like, "Did you just bite his finger off?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's pretty graphic, but the fact that he is also given this second chance to redeem himself again, right? Like I guess not really redeem himself again, just to redeem himself after his fault. Like, I don't know, it works so well because
Well, and again, the makeup team too.
yeah,
Even after he and Sam exit the whatever
yeah,
the bridge part and they go onto the rock and Frodo says it's gone.
yeah,
He's already looking a little bit better.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's something that I'm like, I really feel like the makeup team was like, he can't look all the way better, but it's
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's already looking a little bit like, oh, I can feel that thing's not like
yeah,
killing me anymore,
yeah, hmm,
Um, and that's a really good moment from Elijah Wood. But yeah, all this stuff. Um,
yeah,
one little thing that this is sort of like how I always was like, should Smeagol have that voice? Is
yeah, yeah,
in the first two films, they don't establish that the Eye of Sauron is like a spotlight.
yeah,
And then all of a
yeah,
sudden in the Return of the King, and it's like late in the movie when
yeah,
they're in Mordor, it's like doing the spotlight thing
yeah,
all over.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, I was not aware that that's how that worked. And it still sort of catches me off guard all the time because the way that they describe it for the whole trilogy is that it's kind of this all-seeing eye
yeah,
that
yeah,
it's sort of stationary and it's seeing powers are
mhm,
more it's not actually it doesn't have to like shift its focus.
yeah,
But then in this last kind of like the third act of the third film,
yeah, yeah,
we turn it into this spotlight so that Aragorn can have this plan of like we'll keep his gaze on
yeah,
us.
yeah.
But that was always a thing to me that I was a little bit like, did we retcon that a little bit? Did they just maybe it's in the book that's how the eye works? I don't know.
I
But
don't know. I think it's a good question. I mean, they're never that close to it, and a spotlight only has a certain reach, right? So
right.
that's what I'll say it is in my mind. But I think it was more of a visual cue, like, oh, if we have a spotlight, we can see it, and you know. And I actually, the one thing that I love about this, I mean, the entire sequence is just the climax of this movie is one of, if not the best climax of any movie ever.
Yeah.
The way that it's edited, everything. But when Frodo puts the ring on, and then the eye, like, it starts like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? And
Mhm.
everybody goes back. All the
Yeah.
Nazgul start riding back, and like it realizes that it goes to Mount Doom, and it's like that little giveaway. Because if you don't have that spotlight of it, like, oh crap, and then moving to there, like it loses a little, or it could lose a little bit. But I love that. And then when the ring does finally, and when Gollum falls into the lava and it just sits on there for
Which
a
also
while.
like this was one of the first times I felt really bad for him. Like
Oh yeah,
I felt really
yeah.
bad for Smeagol as he was like dying in this
He's
lava.
so excited to get the ring back, and
Yeah.
then he hits it down. But yeah, like, and then when everything implodes, right, and the way when the tower starts falling, even like the way that the eye is like fire is, it's almost like coming from the inside
Uh-huh.
out, and it falls, and then it again explodes, and the way that the tower looks,
Yeah, this effect is stunning.
It's
The way that the
amazing.
way that the tower collapses and then sort of like gets hit from the side and like it's just with
so
this
cool.
shock wave. It's so cool. It's so awesome.
But again, like there are some movies. This is why we have an ending score, because sometimes the ending is a little rushed, or sometimes the ending maybe doesn't give you what you want. Or I feel like a lot of times, sometimes climaxes are a little too quick. Like the pacing is a little too quick, and you don't spend enough time in the resolution. And this is, I mean, it's various movies, but this movie is like perfect. The way that it goes, everything gets paid off in the climax with everything, and then the explosion, and then it slows down. It's incredible.
I would say I agree with you 100%. Everything's amazing in this climax. Everything's like, because just the way that we just have our foot on the gas from the battle at Minas Tirith all the way through to this end, and then it's just all gas, no brakes, all the way through to the end, and it all crescendos so beautifully.
Yeah.
But then like the ending of this film is complicated as a score for me because then we go into this prolonged sequence, this epilogue sequence that I do feel is a little too long. I think that it is like, I feel like Peter Jackson like wasn't ready to let it go. And so everything is in slow motion. And I think that you could fit all of this stuff in there and just take like 60% of the slow motion out, and you could cut 10 to 15 minutes off of the end of this film, and it would
still pack the same punch.
Yeah. And it's the thing that every time and there's also this thing that he does where he does a lot of like fake endings where it fades to black very slowly and then slowly and he does it a lot. And it's a thing where like sometimes I forget what the actual ending is. Like every time I'm watching, I'm like, is that it? I'm like, oh no, there's one more part. And like, but in here, like there's a lot of stuff I want to see. I'm glad I get to see the reunion scene where Frodo is healing and they're all, but I do think this goes on the way that they do each character individually one at a time, and it's all slow motion. I'm like, we could maybe speed some of this up and then have Sam have a special entrance, but it's nice to see them all do the reunion. I like the coronation scene at Minas Tirith. I feel like that's really, of course, because the movie's called The Return of the King, and also the "you bow to no one" thing
that works so well.
I was sobbing in my house. I was just like,
it's so good, and everybody bows to him. Like,
well, and then it's like it genuinely is like, no, you four are incredible. What you four did is like, you're four of the most amazing people in all of Middle Earth. Like, don't ever bow to anyone. Like,
you don't need to do that. The thing that I love, I think the thing that I loved the most on this rewatch for the ending sequence is when they go back to the Shire. Now, I personally, in the book, there is another scene in the Shire where orcs come and it's like this.
And this would not have worked. It just would not have worked. It's just.
I agree. Yeah. I think it's a good idea that they left it out, and the reason being, this whole theme of war, right? This is all. I mean, J.R.R. Tolkien with his experience in the war and all that. I love that they are the only four that really knows what happened. Right. And that everyone around them is kind of oblivious, which is good that they're oblivious, because they saved them. They didn't have to go through any hard times or horrible things, but that made it hit so much harder, where they're just sitting there kind of at, in the pub, and everyone's excited and they're just kind of like,
I love that scene. The four of them looking at each other.
It just, like, for me, I don't know if it's just because I'm older. Like, I mean, when troops come home, that I have no idea what it's like. I've never been in war. Like, they have an experience that I have no understanding of. And these four have this experience that like nobody else has. And it just felt so, it hit really hard for me on that emotional part of it.
Totally. And I also love that Samwise is just like, well, I'm going to go ask Rosa Cotton to like go, because like at this point in his life, he's like, I'm not like, I've been through so much. Like, I'm not afraid of talking to a woman, you know, but before it's like he was a shy kind of. I love
Yeah,
the character growth that this shows, but also like
absolutely.
I think it's important to show that like Frodo is not able to come back the way that the others are. And
No.
that's another thing about war too, is that like
Yes.
not everyone is able to
Yeah.
heal
Yeah.
and move on. And while the four of them all share a wound and share like information that nobody else in the Shire could possibly understand.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, it's like cinema. There are things that a lot of people have said, but this before, and I agree, where it's like there are ways that these movies improve on these amazing books, and I think this
Yeah.
is one of them where it's like the story needs to be wrapping up and going into an epilogue after the ring is destroyed in Mordor. We cannot go to the Shire and have they filmed this though. They filmed the whole thing. They filmed the orcs
Yeah.
showing up in the Shire,
Yep.
and they decided to get rid of it. And I think it's the right call.
I agree.
But this idea of Frodo realizing like something was taken from me by that ring that I'll never get back, and
Yeah.
I can't live here anymore.
Yeah.
Uh and him heading out off with into the Undying
Yeah.
Lands with Bilbo and
Yeah.
Gandalf, and I thought that was all very emotional. And
Oh yeah.
but again, this is where I would end the movie. I would end with them sailing off and we fade to
Right.
white, the end. We do one more thing with Sam
Yeah.
and his and I get what we're showing, that we're showing like life goes on for Sam and
Yeah.
Sam, but I'm
Yeah.
like I know that. Like I know
Yeah.
I already,
Yeah.
this is where I would personally just go like that's the end.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
And the ending of this movie, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, just end. Like
Yeah.
this is taking so long. I agree with you. I think it could have been trimmed. I think there's some slow motion that they could have gotten rid of, because the slow motion after a while just becomes repetitive rather than really pulling out the emotion, right? But
Yeah.
but I actually, as I've watched it this time, I do appreciate the ending, because also with endings sometimes they go too fast,
Mhm.
like they
Mhm.
don't get there appropriate. So I'm glad that it is a longer ending, because everyone kind of gets the closure
Yeah.
and you get something from it. But I do agree. I think if you trim off some of the fat, because there's just some fat in here, I think you could still have the emotional and the emotional payoff that you get
Yeah.
without having it be so long. Because I think even if you just reduce the fades by half, if it's
Right.
like those,
Yeah, like we don't
are
need the
little things that you
fades.
can do. Like that's just a little thing that could make it run a little bit quicker. But I do love, like, and again, I completely agree with Peter Jackson. He's ending a trilogy. He's ending a 12-hour movie. He's not ending one movie.
Right.
He has to wrap everything up. And I think it's just it's such a great way to end, because like there's nothing else for this movie, and there shouldn't be anything else. There should be no sequels to past this point,
Yeah.
with these characters. And it just
Yeah.
feels like an end. That's it. There's not going to be more. You're not going to drag it out for something else. They'll
Mhm.
drag it out for other things. But, that's the end. And it feels like the end. It feels like the perfect ending for all the characters.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it for that aspect, for sure.
I get that. I think that makes sense. And I agree.
Yeah.
Should we get into scores?
Let's do it.
Okie dokie. If you have never watched our show before, we score the films out of 10, 10 being the best. We give a score for just the technical rating. That's just the craft of the film, the writing, the acting, the effects, the production design, cinematography, all that stuff. We give a score for the ending of the film, how well they stuck the landing. We give a score for rewatchability, a score for cultural impact and significance, and our subjective scores. So Kramer, technical score for Return of the King.
10.
I'm at a 9.8.
Okay.
And it's just some of that stuff. It's just some of those. This is my favorite of the three.
Yeah.
And it's 9.8 for just at the, because I agree with everything you're saying there. I'm glad that he doesn't rush the ending.
Yeah.
But I think he overcorrects to being like, okay, now you're running a risk of like, of like the movie just had such an amazing climax. Like, don't take too long getting to the credits,
Yeah.
But and then there's just few other of those little things, like just little teeny tiny infinite. It might be even like 9.9. Who knows? But all right. Ending.
I gave a 10. I know it's long, but also and I think Peter Jackson, I don't think he wanted to end the movie. It seems like he obviously loved making it, which makes the ending a little more endearing to me as well.
Yeah.
And because they shot this, they were still shooting after they won Best Picture.
Wow.
They shot extra scenes for the extended editions after they won Best Picture. So he was kind of drawing things out. He was but also it's like, wow, what a great tribute to all the behind the scenes things, that he had such a great time doing it. He didn't want to finish, like he didn't want to end it, and everybody had an emotional thing. So that's kind of and also just the climax of that movie again is probably the best ever.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be hard to say something's better, or I mean, it's in the conversation for sure. So
very excited to see how Dune 3 wraps up. And
I know it could be there, man. I think it will be. It'll be interesting to see.
That trailer was crazy.
Oh, it was good. I'm excited.
Yeah. The ending, I'm at a 9.5. I'm going down 9.5 because again, the climax is amazing, but then this epilogue, it's not just like, oh, there's a few minutes left. It's like 25 minutes left in the film. Yeah,
it's a lot.
And it's not that I dislike all of it. Like I like so much of it. I love, there's several points where I'm like, that could be an ending. That could be an ending. And I agree that it feels like Peter Jackson wasn't ready to let go. But I completely get where you're coming from with that. Yeah. For me, when I watch it, I'm like, I love this movie. And this is the part that I still always kind of feel like, okay, all right, come on, bud. Let's go. How about rewatchability?
Rewatchability, I gave a 10, especially watching these movies again.
Yeah.
It's just a different experience every time. And this was such a great experience. It's so fun to watch it with my sons, that I got that experience with them, and it's a fun thing and I got so much more watching it this time, different things, you get different perspectives on it. And I loved, like I said, Rohan it's such a great, I loved it so much more this time. So it's a 10 for me.
Yeah. I 10 rewatchability as well. Just had a great ride with this. And nice. I watching it with subtitles on. If you've never done that out there, maybe try watching the trilogy with subtitles on. There might be things that you thought you knew what they were saying, and you're like, oh, I didn't. Okay, and it gives you a new perspective on something.
Yeah.
How about cultural impact and significance?
10.
10.
Yeah, it's easy.
can't be anything else. And subjective.
No. My subjective score is a 10. The ending of a trilogy, even though I still like Fellowship, I just enjoy it just a little bit better. This still is it's an amazing movie.
Yeah, that's how I feel. It's a 10 for me too.
Yeah.
So we really liked the trilogy, and those are our thoughts. We are going to, speaking of like Dune Part 3 that is shot by Greg Fraser. Next week, we're going to be watching another movie shot by Greg Fraser.
Oh, he did?
Greg, I know. That makes me like, I'm like almost more excited that Greg Fraser did the cinematography than I am for like anything else. We're watching Project Hail Mary, which is in theaters right now if you would like to watch along with the show. It's probably the best reviewed film of the year so far, easily. And not just like in scores, but like in like just the kind of praise that people are heaping on it. So we will see if
I am trying really, really hard to have low expectations because I want to like this movie. We talked about it before, but I really want to like this movie. So the best way to like a movie is to go in thinking it's not going to be good.
Then, it's going to disappoint me somehow and then be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that's it. And like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and tell people, and we'll see you next time. Okay, then. Okay.
Bye-bye.